Maximum News is a political satire podcast. The views expressed by the hosts or guests do not necessarily represent the views of the network or our sponsors. Also, it's very hard to talk about people like Ted Cruz without saying lots and lots of swear words. So maybe don't listen with the small little children persons.
My name is Toby Morton, and I'm a comedian and a writer.
My name is Michael Zampino. I'm a comedian, musician, and a podcaster. We are not professional journalists, and we are not professional political pundits. We are accidental activists, and this is Maximum News. Welcome to Maximum News, everybody. My name is Michael Zampino. Welcome to episode 1.
Episode 1.
That's Toby Morton. He's my
Toby
co-host. Guys, thank you so much for being here. This has been a long time in the making.
It really has. It really has.
So what we're going to do here at Maximum News, obviously, as you heard in the intro, we are not professionals. We are not journalists. We are citizens. We are comedians. We are sassy motherfuckers with a lot to say. And more importantly, we live in a part of the world where, or a part of the country, I should say, where people tend to think that there's nothing but Republican, red, far right voices. We're also here to show that that's not necessarily the case. But more than anything, we're here to take shitty politicians to task and let you know what they're up to. And let's just start a little bit by Toby telling us a little bit about the sort of the traction that you've been gaining as far as making these satirical websites.
My world of Twitter. My
yes.
Twitter world.
By the way, welcome Twitter followers. Welcome, love to have you.
Yes.
I am at Childish Zampino if you want to throw me a follow as well. I don't tweet nearly as often as Toby does, but I promise I'll start retweeting like a motherfucker.
Yes. Well, listen, I never thought of myself as politically inclined.
Sure.
And I'm still not really. I still
That's
like
fair.
to just go after the politicians in my own way. I go after their character. I go after their mistakes.
Which is fair.
Yeah,
That's
and I
what
can't
more people
sit
should
and discuss policy. I'm not as intelligent as Jon Stewart, but I will do what I can on my end when it comes to humor. My websites, there's a slew of them, and they have taken off, and they've done really well. I grab the domains that they do not grab themselves. For instance, GovernorGregAbbott.com was available.
I was going to say, this is the first one I was going to go after, because this is the one that seems to have the most butt hurt behind it.
Oh, my God, yeah.
He's so mad.
He's so pissed off. But when you don't grab something like GovernorGregAbbott.com, then I have to grab it, and I have to turn it into a website that goes against you and everything you stand for.
Or sit for.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I look, not being an ableist in any way, shape, or form, just making fun of a dickhead.
Right.
It's possible to be disabled and be an asshole.
Very true.
Also,
very true.
Didn't a tree fall on him? Ain't that some shit?
You know, there's a whole story with that because he still receives money from the people he sued for that tree falling on him.
Oh, God.
And then when he was in office, he signed a bill that made it so where people who were in his situation cannot receive the amount he received.
Whoa!
We should probably get into that at some point.
So basically, he was like, man, what I just did was criminal as fuck. Let me make sure nobody else can do that.
Exactly. So nobody else, if a tree falls on you in Texas and nobody's around to hear it, then you can't do what Greg Abbott did, and you can't receive how much Greg Abbott received.
That's true. By the way, just right out of the gate, let's just say we're gonna be mean. We're not gonna be nice.
No.
But you know what? At the same time, weren't you guys the fuck your feelings party? So
Right. They were. And I'll tell you,
snowflakes and all that.
As of recently, just the amount of hate mail I get and the butthurt people for my websites, people are now saying you need to create a website with just all of those responses.
Oh, that's
and
great.
I thought, yeah,
that's a fantastic idea.
Dumbfuck.com or whatever I can find. But I do need to do that because those are gold. Mm-hmm. People grabbing, like they go to the template, they Google, how to sue someone, a template. And
right.
Because I looked it up, and sure enough, a lot of these are very like word for word, like template. How to someone who's harassing you, and that's what they send. It's like they just change a few words.
Oh man, yeah. There's a big difference between internet political satire and direct harassment. Because I don't believe that you're like calling his fucking house or anything.
No, not yet.
It doesn't have his fucking address on the website or anything.
Yeah, the thing on the website is it has everything is public. Yeah. There's nothing there
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is like, oh, they're harassing me, and it's like,
yeah,
weren't you guys the ones that put out the fucking address of those ladies in Georgia that were the election officials?
Right.
You fucking doxed them, you assholes.
Well, even the people that send me this hate mail, I don't dox them. I don't even place their email.
Because it's dangerous.
It is. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go that far.
No, and we shouldn't.
No. And, a lot of people send an email and it'll be not their real name. It'll say like Texas Strong.
Right, yeah.
And I'm not going to be like, okay. And the email is usually like 45556 Mark.
6969 Poon Hunter 420.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's almost pointless to do that anyway.
Don't tread on me, I tread on you 420.
I mean, I'm out there. This is my real name. But the people that come after me are hiding. Nobody comes after me and says,
with their first and last name.
Exactly. It's all hiding behind something, hiding behind
and then they'll call you a keyboard warrior.
Right.
They're like, oh, you're awful ballsy with your keyboard there, boy.
Yeah, right.
It's like, my first and last name's on this post, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not asking you to come out and fight me because I'm a pacifist and there's no way I can fight. I don't care how strong or weak they are. They'll kick my ass.
Yeah.
But the point is,
neither of us have made claims of being fighters.
No, I mean, look at
my fucking comedians.
Look at my profile pic on my Twitter. I look like I look like hell. That's what I look like all the time.
I know. I look like Flanders. I don't know what I look like.
We talked about this the other day. The guy that just did his the January 6th hearing, the guy with the jean jacket.
Yeah.
You kind of have that. Have that little feel.
Here's the thing: when you are slightly chubby and you wear black plastic frame glasses, and you have facial hair, you look like a lot of motherfucking people. It's just a fact. Like there's a lot of people that sport that similar look,
That's
and
very true.
every single one of them, somebody will be like, "Hey, is this you?"
Yeah.
But that guy doesn't look nearly as much like me now that I do not sport a full beard any longer.
So completely different. You don't sport the full beard.
I am now of the mustachioed.
But, for people, let me read real quick. This is the kind of stuff I get.
Oh, please.
And this one that I just tweeted out on July 30th in the evening. They sent it to me that day, and this is the kind of stuff I get. And it says, Dear Toby, we are a neighborhood group of conservatives in support of our Governor Greg Abbott. This letter serves as a notice of your unwarranted harassment activities or the equivalent thereof that has been ongoing these past couple of months. Therefore, you are required to cease and desist all attacks and false stories, as well as acceptance of donations for GovernorGregAbbott.com. And it goes on. They sent a letter to PayPal and all these people like, hey, he's accepting donations for a false site. And this is my favorite, the ending. If this letter is ignored, we will reveal ourselves and sue you for deception.
Yes, that's the best part.
Donations. Yeah, so it's like, listen, if you ignore this, we're going to reveal. It's going to be a big reveal. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be.
We're going to pull our mask off, Scooby-Doo style.
I want it to be like RuPaul's Drag Race, where right before they do the lip sync competition, there's some drag queen from a past season that stands behind the curtain, and it's a huge reveal. I love it. That's how I want it to happen.
What it's really going to be, though, is it'll be like The Masked Singer when it's just fucking Giuliani and everybody walks off the stage.
All the networks!
Yeah.
Was there anyone in that conversation who, in your observation, had too much to drink?
Mayor Giuliani. That's my favorite.
That'll never get old.
No. Oh man,
How many-
soundboard's going to be really fun for this show.
It's going to change often.
Well, and here's the thing: we have each one of these little guys controls a set of 16.
Wow.
All 5 of those bad boys, actually 6, are empty.
Wow.
Yeah.
So many options.
So many options.
Wow.
So many sounds.
And there's a weekly additions to the soundboard.
Yeah, if you,
daily additions.
absolutely. There can be because here's the thing: they're never they just keep saying crazy shit.
Yeah, and as we were saying before we started this today, I always say I shouldn't be surprised. It doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me.
Right.
But when it happens, whatever it is, I'm surprised. I'm
Like
shocked.
when you hear shit like this.
If we flood the Capitol building,
Oof.
flood all the government buildings,
Marge.
go inside. These are public buildings. We own them.
Yeah, that's from 2019 before she was in Congress.
Marge Taylor Greene.
Oh, Large Marge.
Large part, yeah, and yet after, well, that's the thing. She had a YouTube channel, but I say, and she still was voted in. But I wonder how many people actually saw that at the time and actually took it seriously.
The shit part is that unfortunately a large number of people did see that and went, hell yeah. And that's scary.
Yeah, that's
is
true.
how many people would hear that and think, yeah,
we own that.
That's for me.
We own that.
We should do that. And here's the thing. There's nuggets of truth in there. Yes, they are public buildings.
Yeah.
Yes, they are technically for the people. However, that doesn't mean that you get to just storm up in there whenever the person you wanted to win doesn't win. That is not how that works.
No.
You storm in there when the time to storm in and have it be justified is when the coup fucking worked and Donald
Right.
Trump is now a dictator.
Wow.
And you have to remove a fascist from office.
Wow. That'll never have to happen, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll be fine.
Woo, fingers crossed.
You know, speaking of Marge Taylor Greene, yesterday, of course, the LIV golf tournament.
The Saudi-backed blood money tournament.
Yeah, where they basically said they tried to get pro golfers. They come over to this side, come over to the dark side, and a lot of them went. Phil Mickelson, fuck you, Phil Mickelson. My God, fuck you. But yeah, they went there, and of course it's at Trump's golf course, Bedminster, right? And of course, back there were protesters across the street, families of 9/11 victims, and of course Trump early on said the Saudis. He thought, he said, the Saudis are behind this, the Saudis. And of course, now he's like, somebody really needs to get down and find out.
Nitty gritty. Let's see who really did
that.
this.
Whoever
Yeah.
they are, they're horrible people. Let's find out who did that. But, and of course, a couple of things real quick. His ex-wife is buried there, correct? Is it there?
At Bedminster?
Yeah. Did you not know this?
Wait, Ivana?
Ivana Trump, he buried her on the golf course.
Shut up.
Get out. You didn't know this?
No.
Google that shit.
Fuck
She's
around.
buried there. He just threw down, and the photo of it, it's all real. It's just her little plaque that says Ivana Trump, this date to this date. She's buried on like hole 8 or something. This is no joke. He buried her there.
Ivana Trump's, this is the headline. The
Yeah.
first headline I see, it says, Ivana Trump's gravesite at Trump National Golf Club could be a tax break.
It is. And
So
that's
he's
exactly what it
burying
is.
his fucking dead ex-wife to get a tax break.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually, it's true. First I thought, that's a great Onion headline. Or
Yeah, no, that's Business Insider.
yeah, it's true.
Wow.
So
The New York Post has it.
yeah, and I don't know who did
Daily
this.
Mail.
I apologize ahead of time. I'm not sure who put this out there, but there was a tweet that showed the actual photo of it, and you could see it. There's just some dirt and some flowers at the end of it, and that's it. And then somebody said, "Hey, stop doing this Photoshop. Put the real one up there." And they put up this putt-putt windmill over it and everything. That's brilliant.
Wow. The final resting place, excuse me.
Yeah.
Ivana Trump's final resting place in the private 10-person plot next to the first hole of her ex-husband's
the first hole. Okay.
Bedminster Golf Club.
Yeah.
Wow.
How fucking brilliant is that?
Hey, you know what'll really fuck up your golf game? Ghosts. Well, you really shanked that one. I think a spirit took that one, Bob. That
was
wasn't me.
Ivana.
It's just another excuse Trump has to cheat at golfing. Like, oh, no, that's a mulligan. The spirit's got that one.
But of course, immediately after that all happened, because when she died, she fell down the stairs. Okay, Ivana fell down the stairs.
Staircase?
Yeah, and she apparently the next day was supposed to be some big deposition with Trump and his children. So people
that's
are
right. I
putting,
remember
2 and 2
hearing
is
that.
4.
Yeah.
So they're, the conspiracy thing, but also it's not a conspiracy in a way because it's like, well, it's Trump. But I don't know. There's so many back and forth about that. I don't know for sure.
Hey, man, let's just say, we're obviously just spitballing here. We're not
Yeah.
legal experts.
No.
But I mean,
Trump pushed her down the
He's-
stairs, I heard?
Trump pushed her down the stairs?
I
Question mark? I heard that.
Trump?
Somebody said once, somebody told me, like, this guy came up to me, tears in his eyes, and he said, Sir, I saw the president push her down the stairs. It's the same guy that's always coming up to Trump. Big, strong, muscly guy.
Big strong man with tears in his eyes.
eyes.
We'll have to find that sound.
Big buff
Because that's
motherfucker.
somewhere.
Big,
That's somewhere.
Big, thick dick motherfucker with tears in his eyes. Just balls as far as the eye can see. Tears in his eyes says, Sir, you're the hottest man I've ever seen. Those
man.
stories, man,
God.
they get more ridiculous every
do.
time.
But you're right. It's spot on. It's always that big motherfucker who would never cry, but there he was crying. We miss you so much, sir.
Because crying's for losers.
Right. But yeah. So the professional golf, all this, she's buried there, and of course Trump doesn't believe the Saudis are capable of killing anyone like Khashoggi.
Even though they admitted to it.
Right. Yeah. And there's camera of him going into their place
And never coming out.
Right. But whatever.
Coincidence.
Yeah, completely.
Aye. So let's talk about some of the other sites that you've done.
Yeah, it really, and it was pretty quiet for the first year. Yeah, I had Devin Nunes, I have Jim Jordan,
Yeah.
all these others.
Oh, that's a real turd.
Oh.
Jim Jordan.
Yeah.
I talked to the president. I talked to
Yeah, he's horrible. He's horrible. But when I put out thelaurenbobert.com,
Lauren Kubert.
Lauren Kubert, there she is. Yeah, she's the first one to actually do something. And what I
She
do
got
something,
mad.
I mean, she sent her press secretary to have a letter sent to me saying, "Hey, you can't defame blah blah blah," and all this stuff. And then she's the one that brought forward everything. And so she's the one that started it. And then Elise Stefanik. She
Former noted moderate Elise Stefanik.
Right. She said to the New York Post,
Overnight MAGA Elise Stefanik.
overnight, that's right, yeah. She said to the New York Post that I was coming after the female conservatives. And the New York Post said, she told them that I need to get a job, which I have. And she also said...
She meant a different one.
Right.
She's
real
like,
job.
Yeah.
Get a real job.
Oh, I love that, right?
Yeah.
You love hearing that in
And
your
I'm-
fucking 40s.
Yeah, she said that I'm making money off of her name, which is true. Because people come to the website and they say, throw me $10 and say, hey, good job. So
Yeah.
technically I am.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
When you don't pick up your campaign domain, I'm going to have some fun with it.
I mean, let's just be honest. Isn't this the same thing that happens whenever, I don't know, Folgers or whatever says, hey, Daily Show, I think what you're doing is very funny. Here's some money.
Yeah. I mean,
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is that the same thing?
Yeah. Now people are going to be like typing in Folgers to see if they support any specific candidate.
That's true. Like
Folgers?
Folgers super political cover. The best part of waking up is storming the Capitol.
I'm going to get FolgersCoffee.com. See what happens.
Oh no. Oh man. Folgers. Wow. They had a rough go of it there for a little while.
They did. Well,
when
they're
their
trying to-
heiress was murdered on the lawn in fucking California. You remember that?
I do
Abigail
remember that.
Folger, part of
Yeah.
the Manson murders.
But that's the thing. It's Folgers was good back then, but now coffee has taken on a whole new realm over these past.
I just recently learned that Folgers is supposedly not good coffee.
it's horrible. But now they're trying to kind of be more hip and be more.
Full
I don't know.
disclosure, I pour so much cream and sugar in my coffee, it doesn't matter really,
Yeah.
as long as it's got the caffeine.
I just.
But although now that I've had some better coffee,
Mm-hmm.
now I know I've seen the difference. I start to get it. But at the same time, I'm not going to kick Folgers out of bed for eating cookies because
Right.
it's there.
Right. I like that little not kicking Folgers out of bed after eating cookies. Also, I like the other ones where people are like, "Don't talk to me until I have my coffee."
Yeah.
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 All right.
How about just don't talk to me?
Right. Yeah.
How about don't talk to me, talk to you.
So you have more. You're more in tune with politics than I am.
So for me, politics started sort of ancillary. Like when I was a teenager, I was really into the punk rock and the sort of ska revival of the 90s. And that took me down a big rabbit hole of like all the classic ska, and I got really into like the more politically minded punk rock bands.
So you started out
Bad
as more of
Religion.
like fuck the system. That was your
Yeah,
whole beginning.
absolutely.
Yeah,
It was sort of a like, oh man, I kind of see like the dark side of it first. I was almost shown like the bad side of it before I knew what the real part was,
Right.
which is really the bad part is the real part.
Yeah,
if
it
we're
is.
being honest.
Yeah.
So my real introduction to politics was like Bad Religion and Dead Kennedys and
Wow.
yeah, and stuff like that. And with being into ska, there was a lot of like anti-racism, tied into that. A lot of like unity, that type of thing, that you see from like the classical ska, like the traditional ska. And that type of stuff. So I was really into like there was a group called Anti-Racist Action back in the day that I used to get like newsletters, and I'd buy patches and stuff.
Yeah.
And make donations and things like that. And so by the time I was a senior, like I was ready to register and start voting.
By the time you were a senior in high school,
I was excited to vote in the 2000 election. I graduated in 1999.
Wow.
2000 election was my very first election.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you got screwed.
For sure. For
Wow,
sure.
what a way. You're already like in that mode. You're like,
Thanks a lot,
fuck
Florida."
this system. Yeah. And then you're like, I'm going to vote for the first time. And then it fucks up and you're like, oh, this is just getting worse.
Well, and then, I mean, to talk about like, being almost disenfranchised out of the fucking gate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that I stayed active and all of that. Anyways, it's one of those things where it never really left. I've always paid attention. I've always watched. I've always been pissed off about, all these shitty things.
Yeah.
The Heritage Foundation and all that they're doing behind the scenes, and the family, all
Right.
those different things that I see, and it never really left. And so getting older, I've just sort of become more and more aware as, these things start to affect my daily life more and more, and especially now as
Yeah.
a father.
Yeah.
Being the father to a teenager who is considered other. I'm not going to go into much detail because it's nobody's business unless you know me.
Right.
And especially in this state, it's really tough. I
Yeah.
have two children, and I very much care about the future that they're going to grow up in, which has really made me a nerd and lame.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where I kept having conversations with my wife about how, man, I wish I could do more. I wish I could be more active. I wish we could, be more politically active. And, the bummer of that is that most political activism comes from money or time, both of which we have very little of.
Right.
But what I do have is a platform, same as you.
Mm-hmm.
I've been podcasting for quite a while. I've been a comedian since 2010. I've been a musician since my first band. I was 17.
Wow.
Buttafuoco's, baby. Shout out.
Nice.
Ska Punk 99.
Buttafuoco's.
T-Town Wusscore. What's up? I go back in the scene days, man. Playing shows at the Icon and like David Souders. And
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Classics, Tulsa classics, baby.
Wow.
Yeah. So this was one of the only ways that I knew that I could do more with both the limited time and resources that I have as obviously artists. We don't we don't make a lot of money. People like
Right.
to consume art; they
Correct.
don't want to pay for it.
Correct.
Which is its own battle.
Yeah.
But that's for another podcast.
That's a whole nother
That's a whole
podcast,
nother
yeah.
podcast.
Happy to delve in sometime, but yeah, a whole nother podcast.
But that being said, we've got a network. I've got a studio that's plug and play ready, and it only made sense. You and I've been friends for quite a number of years now, probably
Since,
at least 10
2000
years.
Yeah. About 10 years.
And
yeah.
And once I saw all the things that you were doing, I said it just makes sense to merge these two things together.
Yeah, we've always been friends. We've always seen each other when we're out.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Never thought to.
I still tell the story about that casino show, about
Oh God.
about bringing over the bachelorette party.
Oh, that was a nightmare.
You know what though? Not for me. That was one of my great. I have such
Yeah.
fond memories of that because I won them over.
Yeah, you
and it was
did.
such a comedic victory to get such rowdy, drunk, belligerent people
Well,
to
just-
not only listen but enjoy it.
Just to give a quick background, I was hired to put on I don't know what you call it, a variety show, but a show at a casino, Cherokee Casino, on the border of Arkansas and Oklahoma.
West Asylum.
Yeah, with Siloam Springs. And at the time, I thought, yeah, that's fine. I wouldn't say I'm not a stand-up comedian. I'm more of a kind of a host, kind of a let's just hang out kind of thing. But I asked you and maybe it was Ryan.
It was Brad Chad
Porter
from OKC.
Yeah, but so we did the show, and it was a very, very small room. It went for when they first hired me, like, we're going to have you in the big ballroom. I was like, yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to have animation. We're going to have this. We're going to have that.
Yeah.
Then it got to a point where it's like, you know what? We're just going to do this room. Nobody came to the show, and that's fine. It's it's in this town area. Nobody's going to come see a comedian who they've never heard of. And so anyway, yeah. So you, Michael, were there, and there were literally my wife, and I think my brother and his wife were there, and that was it. And a
Yeah, I
couple
thought maybe
others.
there was maybe one table of people.
Yeah, that was my family.
Okay.
And I was like, well, crap. And so of course I the executives were the people above who hired me were there, kind of poking their head in once in a while, and I was like, well, this will be my last one.
Yeah, right.
My
One and
second
done,
last
baby.
one,
Okay.
yeah. It was two. That was it. So sure
Two
enough,
and through.
So sure enough, I go next door and there's all these drunk people, and I'm like, all right, why the fuck not? So I told them, I said, hey, having a show, come on in here. How much is it? It's free. Just come on in here. They're all just stumbling in there, and I'm like, this is probably not a good idea, but what else am I going to do?
Right.
And you killed it. You went up there and you won them over, and they loved it, and it was fun. And
I've actually told that story to a couple of new comics who when they have questions about how do you deal with loud rooms or rowdy rooms.
Yeah.
And my strategy has always been to, and this is just because I don't know if this comes from doing musical theater and stuff,
Right.
but learning to play to the back of the room. But I can be
Yeah.
very, very loud.
Yeah,
I have the ability to be. But the trick is to be. It's tougher than you think to be louder without sounding angry.
Oh yeah, the good point. Good point.
Right? So being louder without changing your tone or your timbre really,
Yeah.
just literally just increasing volume to the point where they have to sort of listen because you're just so goddamn loud. They're like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just you got to get them. So, getting them to listen to you is one thing. Just obviously being louder, that's a trick in and of itself. But then your shit's got to be good. Your material's got to
Now
be.
that you have their attention, you need to deliver.
Yeah,
And you did.
and I did, and it was seriously it felt like one of the biggest victories I've ever had in stand up.
That was literally our first, quote unquote collaboration.
Yeah, the
The first time we actually did something in the realm together.
that was a good time.
And
Long
yeah,
time
and then
ago.
last year, that's when we started texting. You told me about this idea,
Yeah,
and right away I was like, yeah. I mean, it took a while to get to this point, but
Right.
it made sense because, I did want more of a platform than what I had. I've always been interested in podcasts. I've never really been interested enough to start my own.
sure.
But so when you came along with this, and you're a seasoned veteran of the podcast. You are.
But
You've been doing it for a while.
It's Hilton and I have been doing it since 2016.
Yeah.
Just he and I. And
Shout
I
out
had,
OLA.
shout out to OLA, of course, short for Opinions Like A-Holes, the flagship podcast, as it were. And we've been through some shit, man. Helped form another network that was then usurped. Not the right word, I know.
I heard that. I
heard that it was basically taken.
Yeah. So every time I go, I'm not agreeing with
Sure.
Zampino here.
Not
I'm just
necessarily.
going, like I heard you.
I heard.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, we've been doing it for a hot minute. So the idea of like, hey, man, all you really have to do is come sit down, and I've got everything else handled.
It sounded easy, but it took forever for me to get here. But yeah.
Yeah. But that's, because of other things, too. We also are still dealing with a pandemic.
We have a new baby.
You have a new baby. That's,
Yeah.
if you've never had children before, the first 3 years, really.
What?
Yeah. I mean, the first...
We're in our 13th month. Oh, man. Really?
There are parts of it that are going to get easier, but what I mean
yeah.
about the first 3 years is when it's the hardest to get any sort of lengthy time away.
Right.
You know what I mean? Once they're like almost 3 years old, 3 years old, you can leave them with people for a lot longer, and it's not as difficult.
Well, we left him for the first time with my mother-in-law for our anniversary. And that's the first time since he was born, 13 months later, that we actually got out.
And it's all you thought about the whole time.
We were looking at photos of him on our iPhones.
The whole time.
And we were just looking at, we were. And we were just like sending, and the mother-in-law was sending us videos, how he's doing. And I was like, okay.
Yep. And I never in a million years, of course that's why they're cliches, but every single one of them is true.
Yeah.
About how you'll never love anything as much, everything will
No.
change. It's all true. It's all true.
It is.
Everything felt different the moment I had children.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where then obviously people without children are like, oh, well, is it less important if you... No, it's not.
No.
Your life is just as important. It's just, there is something that feels different. I don't know if it maybe changed. It changed a little bit of my sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Because it really cemented the fact that this isn't just about me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and we're all individuals. It's very easy to sort of backpedal into selfishness,
Yeah.
self-preservation, blah, blah, blah. It's about me, what's best for me. But there is something to be said about caring about what happens to someone else.
Yeah. It's amazing. I'm so, like today, we're here.
What a weird concept.
Yeah. And before I left the house, it was like, hey, to the wife, you got everything? You're right. Okay, now here's where I'll be. It's just like everything's fine. She's more better at watching him than I am. Everything's gonna be fine. But there's still that, and I.
Ooh, here's something that'll really piss off the right wingers.
Nice. Yes.
I, a male,
Mm-hmm.
spent the first 3 years of my daughter's life
Mm-hmm.
at home,
Oh.
and my wife was the sole breadwinner.
You son of a bitch.
How do you like them
Wow.
apples?
Wow.
Yeah, gender norms be damned.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what, I fucking loved it.
Yeah. Well, of course.
I mean, it wasn't the not going to work part, but it was
Right.
literally being there for every formative moment of the first 3 years of my daughter's life. That's
Well,
fucking priceless.
That's amazing. I'm fortunate enough to be. I work from home.
Yeah.
But once in a while, I'll take a job somewhere where I'll host something or something. And that's, this is kind of minor, but, ever since having our son, before it was about the art. It was about, I don't want to do that. I don't want it. Now it's like, what's that? You want me to do a Snickers commercial? Right?
Oh, there's a
stuff like-
paycheck? Yes, absolutely.
yeah, exactly.
Yes,
it doesn't
thank
matter
you.
what it is. I don't care what it is.
It does still matter. I like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not, there's certain paychecks I'll probably still say no to for moral standards. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like, I'm not trying to sponsor fucking Chick-fil-A.
No, right. And,
Or
and I
that
said
type of
Snickers.
thing.
Snickers would be great, actually. But what
Snickers
I
would
meant
be
to
great.
say
Snickers-
was like walking up to like a used car lot and them going, hey, stand in front of this camera and say, Bud's used cars. I'll do it. I will do it.
Well, first I'd be like, well, Bud, who'd you vote for?
Right.
Hey, Bud, quick question. Who won the election? Then
See,
we'll talk.
I'll get to that point. But right now, so early on in being a father, I'm like, oh, he voted. He'll get over it. He'll vote.
Listen, if my wife didn't have a decent job, I say
Right.
decent, a good job,
Right.
I probably would be taking more of those paychecks. But,
Right.
But yeah, sometimes you have the luxury of saying like, I don't know if I want that MAGA money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but and I'll get to that point. But I think
My wife would say, "Shut the fuck up and take the check."
Yeah, but back to what you said earlier about how you grew up in this kind of realm. I purposely avoided what you went through all my life. I was a writer for South Park. I was a writer for Mad TV, and there were plenty of politics all around.
Boy, we sure waited to get to like the 30+ minute mark to reveal your very large credits.
Right. Well, I think people who follow me on Twitter have an idea.
Who did you voice?
Scott Tenorman?
Oh, that's not it's not a small character.
No, people say it's the best episode ever, but that's not important. But that was my introduction to the show. But
It was so good.
Yeah, but the thing is that even then I didn't want to be around politics. I didn't want to be around, and it wasn't until
Well, South Park wasn't that political in the beginning.
they weren't. But but when we would watch the news, we would try and get ideas. We would have to
Right.
be engulfed in headlines.
Sure.
And I was just like, I don't want to be around that. But it wasn't until I got on Twitter and Trump where I was like, oh, this is my life now, and I'm fine with that because I want to go after every one of those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So it's
I kind of joked about like the individual selfishness, and that is very much true. It very much exists within all of us. But most of what leads me politically is what is best for the people around me. And that's one of the things that I feel like we should really like set in stone here in episode 1 is the reason that the right hates us so much is because we think that their children and our children should get the same education, the same level of health care, the same opportunities. And wow, is that just considered the fucking worst? And I just don't get it. I don't get how that was just demonized to such a level to where my brother-in-law no longer speaks to our family.
I just recently cut off my brother, and he is MAGA through and through. He is God put Trump on this earth. He's got like 8 kids. He's almost 60 years old, I think. But I just recently cut him off after our father passed away this year. And it was almost like, in The Godfather, was it 2, where Michael was like to Fredo, he's like, while mom's alive, I'm going to leave you. So while dad was alive, we were all like,
you're cordial, you're civil.
Yeah, but dad's gone. So I was like, see you later.
Same thing happened with my mother and my uncle. As soon as my grandmother died, they started to drift to the point where now we just don't speak.
No, and it's one thing if you have different political views. It's more than politics.
Different political views used to mean a difference in, foreign policy or economic things, but now it's literally a moral, like where do you stand on the human race? Like, do you think that Black people and Mexican people deserve the same things that you do?
Yeah.
If the answer to that is no, then we don't have the same set of morals. If you casually drop really nasty racial slurs into normal conversations while people are watching the Super Bowl it's nothing, those are the things that aren't cool, and more family members need to stand up and say, hey, what the fuck, man? That's how it started for us, was the casual racism.
And my first intro into voting was for William Jefferson Clinton.
Oh yeah, Billy.
His first term. That was my
noted
first vote.
poonhound William Clinton here.
Yeah.
Hey, man, thanks for voting for me, Toby.
And it'll never get old how much things have changed, because I always go
I still
back.
like to tell people Scott Tenorman voted for me, motherfucker. How do you like that?
You sound like a young Clinton. That sounds good.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
like
yeah,
young,
yeah.
virile Clinton.
Now he's just really like coughing and he's got something in his throat. Right.
William Clinton.
Oh boy, he's going.
I'm not long
Oh,
for
boy.
this world.
All right, just let him keep going. Just let him keep going.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Carter's 97 building houses.
He is. He's still. They're showing every year for his birthday. He was like, here he is on his birthday.
Here's
He has a
Jimmy
hammer and
Carter
nail.
with a hammer.
And I don't care. I don't care if that's set up because he has a hammer in his
He
hand.
can
and he's
hold
doing
a
something.
hammer.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care if it's staged because the man is holding a hammer.
I'm
And
41. I
he's
can barely hold a hammer.
I'm 51. And same. It gets worse, man. It
gets
gets
worse.
worse.
It's harder.
Can't wait to get here.
Oh, man.
But yeah, and of course, this is where I'm going with this. I will never forget Mr. Howard Dean and what he pulled and the shenanigans that happened during and after that, where at that time, I remember that. I remember the yell, and I was like, this guy is fucking nuts. My
Right.
dad was even like, oh my God, I was going to vote for that guy too. I was like, me too. You know, but
It
now
is insane to me that used to be the level that would
That was it.
would.
we don't talk about that enough.
No, we don't. Used to be if you just get too excited. He just got too. The man just got too excited, and everyone was like, "Fuck him! He can't be president." What the fuck? Really? That's what it takes for. And then you have thrice divorced fucking wannabe mobster. Fucking how many times bankrupt? 13
At least.
something.
Yeah.
This fucking guy comes and they're like, oh well, I'm look all past that because he's for the same things I am, which is what fucking blatant racism and Jesus.
If Howard Dean, if something was happening, if he were president, Howard Dean were president back then, if he had won, and something, say, there was a riot in some city, and Howard Dean did not get quick enough to the phone to find out and help out, there would be hell to pay.
Yeah.
The
187
capital,
minutes.
The capital, yeah, exactly.
187 minutes of inaction.
And listen, let me tell you something.
All Howard Dean would have to do is just get on a loudspeaker and be like, and the whole riot would be like, oh
Right.
shit, I'm frightened, and
But
then
I'll tell you,
leave.
but another thing that happened, however long that Michael Moore said it was, where George Bush was, they were reading a children's book to those kids. 9/11 happened.
I believe it was like 14 minutes or something.
14 minutes. He was sitting
it was
there.
a pretty long time.
He didn't want anybody to panic. The guy came to his ear and said, Mr. President, the building, blah, blah, blah. And you see his reaction. He just stands there and he stares. That was a big deal. When Michael Moore put it in his movie and people were talking about it, they're like, he just sat there for 14 minutes or however long it was. And he just sat there and didn't do a thing. That was a big deal. That was a huge deal.
I did find what the book was called. I tried to find the exact number of minutes. No, the book that he was reading with the children. It was called My Pet Goat.
Okay.
What a weird thing that book now has attached to it.
Might be right. right. Oh,
I'm not seeing the.
Well, but
regardless, it doesn't matter.
But regardless, yeah, there was that time.
Oh,
spent.
Bush remained seated for 7 more minutes after being told.
Okay, so 7 more minutes of something's happening. He doesn't want to make everybody
And
panic.
the whole world was like, "That's too long.
That's too long. Get him out of there."
That's 180 minutes less than Donald Trump."
While people are literally storming the Capitol,
Building barrack or what are they called? The hanging thing. Jesus.
where they hang people.
Yeah, that
Where they were going to
thing.
hang Mike Pence.
Gallows.
Gallows. Yeah. They built that.
Did
Did
they
they build it the night before?
I think so. Like they probably brought it in a couple pieces and were like very quickly assembled
Somebody
it
set
there.
that up.
Oh, yeah.
Set that up. There was somebody watching them, Capitol Police. I'm sure there are cameras. Somebody was like, "Look at that guy." Like, what is
They're
he
on a
doing?
radio like, these guys are building a fucking gallows.
Yeah,
it
they're
looks like.
cool. They're cool.
Actually, it was like, looks like you guys are building a thing where you hang people.
Yeah, right. They're good. They're good.
That's fine.
Yeah.
President said let him.
But anyway, and here we are. He's in the dining room for
President said take the mags down.
He's not. He's watching TV. He knows it's happening, and he doesn't call anyone. So that's where we.
They're not here to hurt me. That sentence alone should be the fucking end of it.
Right. That. How many times have we heard that though? Man, that right there should be the end.
Yeah. It should be on his fucking gravestone. They're not here to hurt me. Fuck you.
They're not here to hurt me. Wow.
Yeah.
Let him through.
Listen, a lot's been going on. Obviously, we're not going to be able to cover everything in episode 1. But the first round of Jan 6 hearings, if they didn't open your eyes to the level of planning that went behind Donald Trump not wanting to leave office.
Oh.
And I kind of got to give a little I told you so to our old friend and co-founder of OLA Ministries, Hilton Price.
What?
Because long before the election, I said Trump is not going to leave office willingly. And, and Hilton was like, people will stop that from happening. Blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
We were both right.
Yeah.
Kind of. You know what I mean?
They were just late in stopping
There
him.
were just enough good people in the way that it didn't succeed.
Yeah.
There was just enough. If maybe 2 or 3 more people jumped in on this plan, we have a fucking autocrat, a dictator, we no longer have democracy.
I remember that time where people were saying that was going around.
Oh, I
where
was
it's
like, there's no
he's
fucking
not gonna
way.
leave
He's
willingly.
not going to accept and even in the interviews when people were saying, will you accept the results of the election? And he was just saying, well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the results are. Right then, I'm like, he's telling you right now he's not going to accept the
I think
results.
we refer to that as a red flag?
Giant red one. A giant one. Yeah. Like big enough for the Bulls. Like that's a big old one.
And that's the thing. I was part of those people who were like, but he'll, nobody's gonna let him go.
He'll concede. He'll do the right thing.
No, I didn't even think that. I thought that he would say, "Oh, it's rigged," but then he would go off into the sunset thing. It was rigged.
And just go back to Mar-a-Lago and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, who knew that?
No, because he knows the only way he's not going to fucking prison is by being president until he's dead.
By the way, what we were talking about the golf course earlier,
Allegedly
the Saudis
going to prison
with the Saudis. Marjorie Taylor Greene was there.
Yep.
And there were a lot of photos of the two, Marjorie and Trump, standing together, waving to the crowd. And, of course, the cries of Trump, Green, 2024 came up. So just saying, I meant to mention that earlier.
Absolutely
we can
not.
obviously talk about that down the road. We do want to cover that, too, about the possible running mates, because he's going to run again.
Oh, I think he'll pick, like, Mastriano if he's not in prison.
Jesus.
Yeah, he really likes
Isn't that
guy.
everybody you talk about in Trump's realm? It's like, if he's not in prison, or if she's not in prison, they're going to do
By
this.
the way, before I forget again, because I forgot the first time we talked about it, my favorite thing to come from the golf tournament was that we got to see Trump without makeup.
Wow. Yeah.
He looks terrible.
My
son, I love him so much, sent a text of right when he became President Trump and then a picture of the golf tournament Trump.
Wow.
And it said, did he get ... uglier ?
Wow. That's great. People are also saying that he basically,
a lot of people are saying
he basically died a week ago and nobody told him.
yeah,
That kind of look.
he is a corpse.
But man,
Although he doesn't look as much like a corpse as Leviticity Hands Mitch McConnell.
yeah, he's looked like a corpse for a long time.
Do you remember that picture of his purple ass hands?
I do. Yeah.
I was like, that's what Leviticity looks like. That's
Yeah.
when the blood settles after you have passed.
We have so much to cover.
Mitch McConnell is
So
a
much.
ghost, you guys.
Yeah. And who knew that there would be so much to cover in politics and the absurdity of it.
I think the one thing that we should touch on is what happened this week with the sheer vindictive, childish malice of the Republicans voting against the PACT Act.
Yeah.
This was a thing that they passed 84-14. It went to the House. They figured out that the discretionary part should be mandatory so that this funding can't just be randomly pulled out from under these people. And now they are claiming that makes it an endless slush fund. And Jon Stewart very, very smartly keeps pointing out that the OCO, the Overseas Contingency, that's the actual slush fund that gets approved every single year with no hesitation.
And he has his back and forth with Ted Cruz right now.
Yeah, well, because Ted fucking Cruz fist bumps his homie after voting no out of spite because Joe Manchin kind of pulled one over on him by saying, hey, if you vote for the CHIPS bill, I'll keep my stance on the climate bill.
Yeah.
And then when they voted on the CHIPS bill, he was like, psych, and voted on the climate bill, which is just fucking...
They showed him. Veterans will die, but they showed him.
He pulled the football away from Mitch McConnell, and I got to give him credit for it. I talked a lot of shit about Joe Manchin, and I still don't like him.
Right.
But... he did the right fucking thing on this, and now we need Kirsten Sinema to do the same.
Yeah.
I'm fucking terrified she won't because she's awful.
She's taking too much time. She knows what she wants to do, but she's just kind of playing
She
it out.
is now Lucy holding the football for all of us, and I don't fucking like it.
And on the side note, with Jon Stewart, who is just brilliant and brilliantly handling all of this and going after the right
more people need to say fuck on the news and say things like Pat Toomey is a fucking coward.
Yeah, yeah.
When he said that, I cheered. I was like,
he's just,
thank you.
And you can't disagree with him. He's very clear. He's like, listen, Ted Cruz, nothing has changed. No wording has changed. This is exactly the bill
Except
that you
for
supported.
discretionary to mandatory.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing that they're claiming is their reason for voting no.
But, and on the side note, though, stop asking, and he has said this himself, stop asking Jon Stewart to run for office.
Yeah, no.
Because when people like him do stuff like that, everybody's like, Jon Stewart 2024. No, we need him on our side.
Yeah.
You don't want him to go. He's not going to be able to do as much in office as he is out of office, if that makes sense. In my opinion, he's got so much he can do outside of office to get people riled up to go vote, to go do this.
Well, and there's certain limitations put on you once you are in that realm of being a congressman or a president or a senator.
He won't be able to rile the troops up like he could if he was.
Yeah, he can't just walk out there and be like, Pat Toomey is a fucking coward, which I wish. He would probably do it. I wish, Swalwell or one of our homies would walk out there and be like, Pat Toomey, you're a fucking coward to his face.
Yeah, and Swalwell, who... I'm, hopefully he'll be on this podcast soon.
Big fan.
He and I have spoken. He's a great guy. His tweet that he put out yesterday, he says, the GOP's midterms message to veterans. In order to own the libs, we are willing to let you die. Thank you for your service.
Yep. Essentially.
That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. We said, fuck your health care. Fuck making it harder for people to come back from war with debilitating illnesses from burn pits and shit like that.
But we don't want to look stupid. We got him.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe Manchin fucked us over, so we got to fuck you to shit.
That'll show him.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to really... And you know what? The climate thing hasn't even fucking passed yet, and they did this.
Well, and
Joe Manchin just said he changed his mind.
There are so many reasons to go out and vote for these midterms,
100%,
and it just keeps the
that's one of the big reasons
keep flowing in every
and
day.
that was one of the big reasons we wanted to get this show launched as quickly as possible, is to because here's the thing, especially in our state, the one thing that I think that is more important than anything is too many Democratic or independent voters don't vote.
Right.
Because they think it's hopeless because Oklahoma goes down ballot Republican all the time.
I thought that for years.
And the reality is that if the people in Tulsa and Oklahoma City and all of us actually showed the fuck up to vote, this would be a far more competitive state than anybody realizes. We are not that far removed from having a Democratic governor.
True.
You know what I mean? We are not that far removed. It has happened within the last, what? When was Brad Henry? 15 years?
It hasn't been more than 2 decades.
Exactly. It's not impossible. The big thing is the disenfranchisement, the feeling of why fucking bother, This time, the reason to bother is because you might not ever get another chance.
Right.
They're literally trying to install people at every level of government, from the school board to the secretaries of state to the election board, people that will do the bidding of people who want to upend democracy because they are fully aware that if every Democrat shows up to vote, they'll never win another election again. Because the bottom line is the majority of the population of the United States of America, even if they don't consider themselves to be a Democrat, which I am a reluctant Democrat. I'm definitely I am far more willing to point out their flaws as well. I want the student loan forgiveness. There's lots of fucking shit that we haven't gotten, and we'll touch on that too, because that's another thing we're not going to do. Is we're not going to sit here and kiss the ass of everybody on quote our side, because that's not the fucking right thing.
No.
Because when they fuck up, you got to tell them they fucked up, and when they make promises, you got to fucking hold them to it. But the bottom line is they realize that there are more of us, right? And we just don't show up. And that even if you don't consider yourself a Democrat, more people's personal morals align with current Democratic policies than Republican. That being said, I'm not saying that those people are, by transitive property, automatically Democrats. I'm saying more people align with those views. They do think that people all deserve the same level of healthcare and education. I can't understand the idea of having different levels of education in anywhere in the country.
Right.
The fact that every single school is not public and held to the exact same level of standards and given the exact same funding across the board blows my fucking mind.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, and especially in a state like this, where we're now 50th in education, purposeful. This has been a purposeful goal that they've been working towards for a long time, because they know that the more educated people get, they tend to, I don't want to get mad at me, to align with more liberal policies, not because they are themselves more liberal because they're educated, but they are aware of the fact that most conservative policies now are against their best interests. The best interests of most Republican policies now are for the very rich, wealthy, white men.
Yeah.
And everyone else is basically harmed by most of their policies. If you are poor, white, and you are voting Republican, you are keeping yourself poor and white. And well, I mean, you're going to stay white.
Never be anything but white.
You're keeping yourself. You're perpetuating it, right? But they've convinced you to blame it on immigrants or whatever. They've convinced you to blame it on all the things except for the policies that you keep voting for that just keep funneling money up, right?
Yeah.
And keeping it away from you.
Wow. Well said.
Thank you.
Wow.
So that's why we're here, ladies and gentlemen, here at Maximum News.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's very true. And I can't say anything else after that because you just said it all.
Thank you. Well, should we call that episode 1?
I think so.
Awesome.
We have plenty coming up, obviously. We
absolutely.
We will start. Michael will be more active on Twitter.
Yep, we're gonna start getting interviews.
Yes.
They might not always be live as we're recording, given scheduling issues, but we will record them and then insert them into the episodes as we get them.
And I will, of course, tweet out at Toby Morton is my handle, but I will definitely be tweeting out updates and kind of things that are happening with the podcast. So
we also are at Max News Podcast.
Yes.
On all of the things. We have an Instagram with no posts yet. We have a Twitter with no posts yet. But it's episode 1, baby. What do you want us to do?
You got to start somewhere. I think right now on Twitter we have 36 followers. That'll change.
Yeah, 36.
Right, and we are following one and that's Newsmax. We're following Newsmax. Maybe I should change
obviously. Nah, we got to keep following them. We should tag them in every post too.
Right, we should. We should. But yeah, that's it. Max News Podcast.
If you have love or hate mail, you can send it to maximumnewspodcast@gmail.com.
Please send it. It doesn't matter what it is.
We are Max News Podcast on most things, but our email is maximumnewspodcast@gmail.com. We are, of course, on OLAministries.com is our landing site, but you can find us on all of the podcasting platforms. Speaking of OLA, quick plug, Opinions Like A-Holes will be recording live, a live show at this year's Blue Whale Comedy Festival. We'll be making our triumphant return as the first festival post-pandemic. Blue Whale Comedy Festival in Tulsa comedy scene is known as Comedy Christmas. We love that festival. I'm super happy to be a part of it again. So we're going to be recording a live show Saturday, August 27th at the Lowdown, which is the basement of Duet. And that the tickets are at bluewhalecomedyfestival.com. You can go there, get your tickets, come see us do a live show that is not about politics. It is a lot more loosey-goosey. We talk about silly movies and TV. It's just pop culture stuff.
It's a great show. It's a great podcast.
Thank you very much. We just celebrated 233 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So Opinions Like A-Holes, you can find us on all the things as well. I am Childish Zampino on the socials. My name is Michael Zampino.
And my name is Toby Morton. Of course, I am Toby Morton on social media as well.
And thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you soon. Another thing we should say, we might not be weekly every single week, but we will put on an episode every single time we are possibly able to record together.
Exactly. And also testing the waters, seeing what the reaction is. I mean, even if you don't like it, we're still going to do it. But yeah, we'd love to do it weekly. Would love to do it weekly.
That is the goal. But if you come back on a day and there's not one, just know that we didn't go anywhere. We will be back as soon as we are able to record again. All right?
Love it.
Sounds good. See you soon. Maximum News is a production of OLA Ministries. Executive producers Toby Morton and Michael Zampino. All original music written, performed, and recorded by Kintz.